I would bet you that probably it's less now, but probably still 60% of the people that come in here don't know we're a distillery. They just don't know. But, I think one of the things we try and focus on is we just really try and focus on that whole, we're local, where we support community. We do a ton of community events. We work with a lot of community organizations to try and emphasize that, hey, we are the epitome of local stuff right here. Right. But it's a difficult marketing challenge. I'm not going to lie to you. It's one of those things that's really tough because, we want to promote our own product that we make. We want to promote that we carry other local products. It's something we struggle with and not presenting a mixed message.
All right, Nick. So the red light just came on. This is when most people get nervous because this is high stakes podcasting. How you feeling? Do you want to go forward with this? Or
I feel good, man. I feel
He's
good.
All right. Yay, we're going forward. All right. All right. Well, cool. Let's jump into it. Why don't you do me a favor? Tell my listeners, who you are and what your company is.
Yeah, so my name is Nick Apostolopoulos. I'm from San Diego, California. I'm born and raised. I joke I'm one of the 11 that were actually born and raised here. Nobody else is from San Diego. And so I joke with people. I had a former life, which was for the first 25 years of my life. I was a software developer and built big company websites, things like that. And then about, 2010, I just got tired of that world. And I was always a big home brewer and had tried to, thought about starting a brewery for years in San Diego, but San Diego is kind of the hotbed, right? At one point there were 20 and then 40 and then 60, and now there's over 100 breweries. Wow. So it never seemed like the right time. Right. But, the older I got and the more my palate changed, I started drinking spirits more. And so I kind of started wondering, is there such a thing as a craft distiller, right? You don't really hear about those, or you didn't, especially in 2010.
Yeah.
And, so I did some research, flew to a couple places in Oregon and Colorado and I thought, hey, this could be really cool. And it's way different than beer, which is both good and bad, by the way. And so I thought, okay, let me give that a try. And so that's how we started 619. And so, we started 619 Spirits in 2012, basically launched 619 Vodka. So we started with vodka because there's nothing really, it's not like obviously the Kentucky and those guys are whiskey and there's nothing really for San Diego. But for us out here, it's summertime drinking by the pool. So I thought, vodka would be cool. And then our sort of niche is that we do infused vodkas. So we make like a cucumber and rose petal and pickle and pepper and coffee and things like that. So we started in 2012, ran the company for 4 or 5 years, almost kind of as a hobby, honestly. I kept my day job doing consulting and learned the hard way that this is a really difficult business, way more difficult than beer. The big players are bigger and carry way more leverage, right? And then the big pivot came in for us in 2018. So in California, prior to 2017, distilleries were not allowed to be open to the public at all. You couldn't have visitors, you couldn't do tastings, you couldn't do anything. And there was only one kind of license in the state. And in 2017, they introduced a craft distiller's license and changed the rules. And the rules were, hey, if you produced, under a certain volume, which we all do, you could open up a craft distillery. The rules were that you could then have visitors and do tastings, but you could only do a quarter ounce a day or an ounce and a half a day, which means one cocktail. And then you could sell 3 bottles per person to go. Unless you serve food. If you serve food and have a kitchen, then you can operate like a full blown bar restaurant. So I thought, well, how hard can that be? Because I knew friends that owned bars and, it turns out way harder than I thought too. Right. So anyway, we pivoted in 2017, found the space, did all this stuff, took about 2 years to get open because the city had never permitted one before. And so opened up at our current location in 2018. Yeah. And that's how we got to where we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what would you say is the biggest challenge? Has it been the regulatory? Has it been just getting off the ground, finding money? What would you say is the biggest challenges?
It's all of the above. I mean, in the beginning for us, it was just, we were just a distillery and really we didn't even have a space then. We were leasing other people's space. So we didn't have a big capital expenditure. Yeah. And so for us, it was learning the fact that, like I said, the beer world is different because if you're a beer drinker and you go out and if you're a real beer aficionado, you look at a menu and try and find things you haven't seen before. If you're a spirits drinker, you're kind of dialed into your spirit. You're a Hendrix drinker or you're a, whatever it is. Right. And so learning the hard way that was difficult. And honestly, before they changed the rules, we were giving serious thought to whether we even kept going because it was just, to break into that world, it just requires a ton of capital. Right. So, that was a challenge early on. And then switching to the restaurant space, it's the challenge is, yeah, it's all the above, right? It's regulatory. It's we can sell bottles to go from here, but I can't ship.
Mm,
We have demand outside of the state, but I can't ship outside of the state. And so all
yeah,
those kind of stupid things. And then we can sell 3 bottles per person to go per day. And the ABC is really strict on that. So it's all the above, man. But I
yeah.
mean, right now for us, yeah, all the above, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. How did you sort of think about maybe like a food menu as you were starting to put that together to go from a distillery to a restaurant in terms of, putting together a menu and having it complement and I'm assuming also that's a whole nother animal, a restaurant, a kitchen in
It's
the
a whole
areas that.
nother animal. And the funny part is we had high hopes for this when we started, right?
Mhm,
And by that I mean we thought, hey, we're really unique. We're a distillery. We make craft spirits. We have partner and sister distilleries that make rums and whiskeys and gins. And so that's one of the weird
mhm,
things about our spot is we don't carry any national brands. So if you come in and ask
mm,
for a Jack and Coke, we don't have it. We only have local
yeah,
brands. And so for the food menu, we thought, okay, we can do cool food pairings and we can do, we make a coffee vodka. We thought, oh, we'd make like a chocolate coffee sauce for one of the desserts or something. The problem is that this space is kind of small. And so it never really afforded us the ability to really hire a chef. We tried a couple of times, but, at our budget level, the guys available aren't the greatest at doing this job. And so
mm,
it's been a real struggle. When we started, we had beef tartare on the menu and mussels and bone marrow and things like that. And we had to simplify the menu over the years to make it work,
yeah,
especially especially because we opened 19 months before COVID, got shut down, opened again, shut down again, opened
yeah,
again. And so it's been one of those things where I started with a liquor brand and really what we've morphed into is a hospitality business, right?
yeah,
And so
right.
yeah, the kitchen part's been a nightmare, which is part of the reason we're trying to move because the new space, the plan is that the new space will afford us, a better opportunity to do all of those things, right? We're going from 2,300 feet to 8,000 square feet.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
we'll have, our kitchen at the other space will be the size of our entire back of house here, right?
right.
So, hopefully at the new space we can really do cool stuff with the
Yeah.
menu. So
Yeah. So talking about that expansion, I think that's why you're fundraising right now is specifically for this expansion. What was some of the, obviously we're kind of talking about some of those pain points that you're feeling, but what was some of the ideas and finding the location? And is there certain reasons why you're going there outside of just space? Just talk to us a little bit about maybe the concepts and the conversations around the expansion right now.
yeah, so the reason for the move is that, like I said, one of the things we realized here is that we could never really fully realize our vision. And the reasons for that are multifold, but we basically have one, we have the place we're in now is actually 2 small buildings. So it's 1,000 square feet and 1,300 square feet. They don't link well together. People walk in the front door of our tasting room restaurant and don't even realize we're a distillery because they can't see it. It's in the other building. And also, like I said, the food pairings, the tasting pairings, we want to do cocktail classes. We want to be a more of an experiential place, right? We're a distillery for crying out loud. We want to be able to do all these cool things and including events. And that's one of the biggest stumbling blocks is that our space can hold about 80, maybe 100 people, but it also can't hold much less than that. I mean, it can't. So for example, you come to me and say, hey, I got a 35, 40 person birthday party. That's a buyout. I don't have anywhere to put you. So anywhere between 30 and 80 people, you're a buyout. And at the 30, 35 person end, it's too expensive, right?
Right.
So we started looking a couple of years ago for a bigger space. And originally we were looking for 4,000 or 5,000 square feet, something that would allow us to have a really dedicated kitchen, a real nice distillery space inside. And long story short, we found 8,000 square feet, but the building is amazing. It's got 20-foot barrel ceilings and all that kind of stuff, right? So hopefully the move will allow us to realize that vision of tasting classes and pairing classes and events and tasting dinners
Hmm.
and really doing all the stuff we wanted to do in this space, but they're just having so much trouble doing.
Yeah. Is there a roadmap that you're sort of following to keep a vision? I mean, at some point when you start adding all of the things that you're talking about, maybe something else slips, right? So how do you sort of stay focused of just making sure one, you're probably making good spirits, right? That the quality there is tip top. Then you have the food component, then the entertainment component. Just kind of walk us through a little bit about how you feel about just making sure that you're doing the best in all these different little sort of topics that you're talking about right now.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, for us, it's one of those things where, like I said, we pivoted, not pivoted, but, you know, we still distribute our product in San Diego. We distribute to other bars and restaurants. But after COVID, that became a much smaller part of our business. And so we've
Hmm.
pivoted to this more hospitality forward attitude, right? And we're still working on the business, and we're still, we're trying to come up with some new infusion flavors for the fall and do that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of balls to be juggled at the same time,
Yeah.
right? The good news is over the years, we've been in this spot almost 8 years now. No, we're putting together a pretty good team for the new spot. I've got a guy lined up to be the GM at the new space that's got a lot of experience. Our bar manager that's going to be coming over there has worked in some of the biggest bars in San Diego
Hmm.
and Orange
Hmm.
County and Vegas. And so I think for us, it's, there's no way I can do everything, right?
Right.
The real way is to put together a team that can handle all that stuff and a specialist. And we're working with, we have somebody that's going to try and run our event things that used to work with Live Nation. And so
Hmm.
it's that kind of thing, right? Where there's no way I can do it all, but that's how we're handling it all, is trying to just assemble the right team.
Yeah. And what is so for myself, I'm in Detroit. I'm a long ways away. What is the sort of ecosystem of San Diego right now? What is what is the local economy looking like? How do you guys see yourself fitting into it? Is it a downtown area? Are you in a entertainment district? I guess walk us through a little bit about maybe where the location is and how it fits into the just kind of San Diego economy in general.
Yeah, sure. So we're in a part of San Diego called North Park. So if you're familiar with San Diego at all, there's downtown, and then there's Balboa Park, which is a giant, kind of Central Parkish thing in the middle of San
Hmm.
Diego, and North Park is the neighborhood just to the north of that. So that's us. Northern Park is kind of an upcoming area. The big places in San Diego right now are either Gaslamp or Little Italy, right?
Mm.
But North Park is up and coming, and and we've been here, and we're not moving very far from where we are. We're moving like 3 blocks from our current location, so we really
Okay.
love North Park. It's kind of a hub. It's a, I hate to say it, but it's kind of the more hipsterish area of San Diego, and
Hmm. Hmm.
lot more young families and that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's where we fit in, and we think, and we're close enough to downtown and the gas lamp and things like that, that where we already actually do get a fair amount of draw from tourists, right? People that are in town, they're downtown, they're like, hey, where should we go? And there are other distilleries in San Diego, but like, most of them are 45 minutes away in North County, right? We're 8 minutes from downtown. And so that's where we fit in and into that landscape. And like I said, North Park's up and coming. We're moving right next to a big brewery
Mm.
that's here, that's really popular here locally. So there'll be a brewery and right next to the distillery, on a main street, all that good stuff. I mean, as far as the economy and whatnot right now, Southern California is struggling just like everybody else. We signed this lease back in February when things seemed like they were kind of on the upturn. In the last few months, we did get a good summer, but the last few weeks it's definitely been rough. I mean, there's been a lot of restaurant closures in San Diego over the
Yeah.
last 2-3 months, big restaurants that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But what I think, like I said, what I think makes us different is yeah, we are a restaurant and a bar, but we're also a distillery, right? So you can come
Hmm.
have your, be able to come have your birthday party or tasting happy hour or whatever cocktail hour right
Yeah.
in the distillery, right? And there are things we can do above and beyond that. Well, for one, and come and taste spirits you've never tasted anywhere else, right? We have, in fact,
Right.
we're about to bring in this honey gin from Vermont. That's amazing, but you're not going to get that at the restaurant around the corner. They just don't carry it, right?
Right.
So it's things like that we can do and appeal to. And like I said, hopefully be more of an experience and a destination for people to
Yeah.
come and try new things and, get stuff they can't find anywhere else.
How do you position maybe in some of your marketing materials to highlight like, the honey that you were just talking about, the honey gin? How are you sort of thinking about like how do you get that messaging out in today's world? How do you sort of think about it in terms of the location and where you guys are right now? Just how do you guys what are the conversations around marketing like for you guys right
It's
now?
tough, right? Because that's a great question. And that's something we're struggling with, actually, really, really, really struggling with right now, is trying to figure out what our customer avatar is and how we market, who we
Hmm.
market to, because we have different appeals to different people, but you can't be
Yeah.
everything to everyone, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and like I said, one of the struggles we have is I would bet you that probably it's less now, but probably still 60% of the people that come in here don't know we're a distillery. They just don't know.
Mm.
It's just, they
Hmm.
know we're a good,
Hmm.
they've heard it. It's a great spot with good drinks and good food, and that's what they've heard. And so it's tough for us because, but I think one of the things we try and focus on is we just really try and focus on that whole, we're local, where we support community. We do a ton of community events. We work with a lot of community organizations to try and emphasize that, hey, we
Right.
are the epitome of local. We make stuff right here, right?
Hmm.
But it's a difficult marketing challenge. I'm not going to lie to you. It's one of those things that's really tough because, you know, We want to promote our own product that we make. We want to
Hmm.
promote that we carry other
Right.
local products.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's something we struggle with and not presenting a mixed message, right?
Yeah.
So
So it sounds like my next question was going to be around just community and some of the events and stuff that you're highlighting. Is that something that's in your role, or do you have somebody specifically that just handles, making sure that the company culture, the decisions, how you guys are sort of positioned, all make sense? Like, how do you guys think about that? Is that something that's on your plate?
right now, everything's on my plate. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
I've been working for 5 years to fire myself from all these roles, right? But that's the other problem too, is that my friend jokes with me that I'm the only one he knows that thinks I can solve my problems by spending more money. But it's sort of true, right? If we can get to the new place and do a higher, this place has a limitation on the amount of revenue it can generate, and that puts a
Hmm.
limitation on how many people I can have around me to help, right?
Sure. Right.
So yeah, on the community stuff, it's me. I mean, we actually are lucky that we have a company in San Diego called Walkabout that's been around for 4 or 5 years now, and they started in North Park, and they're slowly spreading out, but they're all about community. The whole thing is community events. And when we have trivia nights here, Walkabout will bring a team of people, right? And it'd be
Mm,
different from week to week because their whole thing is to try and get people to meet other people in the neighborhood and go to other
mm,
businesses. And so, that's the kind of thing we try and work on. And we work with the local elementary schools on fundraisers and all that kind of thing, right?
right.
So, but yeah, unfortunately, that's all on my plate too right now. My
Yeah.
wife helps out, and we try, like I said, we're trying to grow and bring people in, but it's a chicken and egg with funding,
Yeah.
right?
I hear
So
you. I hear you loud and clear. As a small business owner as well, my wife and I, we've been doing this 15 plus years now. It's always a
yeah,
balancing act.
yeah,
Let's talk
exactly.
about that a little bit. Just as a business owner, just how do you balance time, personal life, family life, work, running multiple hats, just, for other entrepreneurs out there, like, do you have any tips, tricks, techniques? What do you do to balance this all out?
No, I mean, my wife would probably say I don't do it well. I mean, I'm here a lot. It's like I said, it's that issue of finding good staff and people around you, especially in a restaurant, right?
Hmm.
And I have a personal fault, I guess, which is that I know I should be working on the business instead of in the business, all the typical cliches, but I also don't like asking my staff to do anything that I wouldn't do. So I'm
Sure.
here doing a lot of stuff, right? And so,
Right.
whereas to almost to the point where a few years ago the staff had to say, "Hey, look, we know, but you're the boss. You need to be going to do these bigger things, right? You need to be
Hmm.
running the business." Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I guess my answer is I don't do a really good job of that. I guess I've been trying to get better at it.
Yeah.
I joined a group called the Entrepreneurs Organization a few years ago, and that's really helped focus my thinking on being more intent about how I run things and what I do. But yeah, I'm not the best at it. And the funny part is that I was talking to someone yesterday, and I mentioned that there's been kind of a transformation in me over the last 5 or 6 years, which is that I started the business to be a vodka brand, and that's what I
Hmm.
wanted to build. And I got into this hospitality part only going, okay, wait, this is an avenue that will generate cash and I can do it hopefully easily, but not really. And then I can use that as a base from which to build a business, right? And it has worked. I mean, obviously way more people know we exist now than did 5 or 6 or 8 years ago because we have a location and we do
Hmm.
things. But I always kept telling people this is a means to an end. Really, what I want to do is build a brand. I don't really want to be in hospitality. And somewhere over the last 4 or 5 years, I'm like, you know what? I really do like hospitality. This is where I want to be. It's what I want to do. So I like being
Yeah.
here. I like working on a Friday night. I like doing all that stuff, which is not good for work-life balance either.
Right.
Because I still have all the business things I need to do during the day, and then I'm running around here at nights.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better at it, but I'm not very good.
Are you guys, in terms of this expansion and just growth, are you guys thinking about getting into the spirit cocktails? Are you guys thinking about getting into that world at all?
The ready to drink stuff, you
Yeah, the
mean?
ready to drink stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. We were working on launching canned cocktails right before COVID, and then COVID just knocked everything sideways.
Yeah.
And we've been looking at that for the last couple of years. It's just, I hate to use it as an excuse, but it's true. COVID really knocked us sideways. And then to the point where, that's when I realized, oh, wow, I really do have a hospitality business. I laid off 20 people and I tried to figure
Mm,
out all that stuff in the meantime. Right. And so we've been trying to get back to this. It's frustrating. We haven't released a new infusion flavor in probably 2 or 3 years.
mm,
And so right now we're working on 3 or 4 and trying to, but unfortunately, that side of the business has kind of been a stepchild for a little while.
Mm,
but I'm really hoping with the new space to reinvigorate that. And yeah, we're even working on infusions in the location now that we never really did before. So we have like an apple spice one we're doing for the fall that we're just doing in house. We're not bottling it.
hmm
Um, but yeah, long term, we definitely want to get into that space. I mean, I feel like in some ways, I feel like we missed the boat because COVID was probably the perfect time to launch something like that.
mm, right.
Because everyone was buying, staying at home and buying canned
Yeah.
things from the stores.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm glad we didn't because I see a lot of brands, they did that for a while and then they faded out because
Right.
everybody's, the competition from all the big players came in. So now I think we have an opportunity to go back and be more purposeful about it, more intent about it.
hmm
The cool thing we do is real fresh ingredients, even in our infusions. And so we want to do that in the cocktails, but there's issues of preservation and stuff. But, we're working on like a pre-batched version of a espresso martini right now, because that's kind
Mm,
of one of our signature cocktail here.
yeah.
And so that should be, so things like that. So yeah, we are kind of working on it. It's kind of, on the medium burner right now.
Sure, sure. Well, let's move over a little bit to fundraising, just kind of where we are right now with that. I know I found you because you're over on WeFunder and you're raising capital there. I'm assuming that that's not all the capital that you're going to need. So walk us through a little bit, maybe the conversations around how you thought about going on to WeFunder, why you're doing it, obviously outside the expansion and raising capital, but just some of the thoughts behind it, and then maybe what are some of the other fundraising goals that you guys have right now?
Yeah. So on the WeFunder side, it's crazy. We started to do a WeFunder right before COVID because we were going to raise money to launch the canned cocktails. And when the canned
hmm
cocktail thing went sideways, the WeFunder went sideways. And again, big mistake because there were record breaking raises during that time on these crowdfunding platforms.
hmm
But I was too worried about keeping my employees together and running a restaurant. Right. So
Yeah.
it is what it is, water under the bridge. But the reason we even knew about that is because when we launched this location, there's a company, they're gone now. They were called Next Seed. And I think they got bought up by Republic.
Yep.
But we did a crowdfunding raise for this location when we first opened in 2017 or 2018. And we raised a couple $100,000. But the cool thing about it was, as you know, we raised that money from, I want to say 270 people or something like that. So then
hmm
we had 270 really excited people when we opened the
Right.
bar, right?
Yep.
And so that's when we're pivoting to this, we thought, okay, we should try and do that again. And you're right. There's other forms of fundraising. We're working on an SBA loan.
hmm
We just yesterday signed a deal to sell this location, to sell the assets here. So that's a good chunk of funds. It'll go into the new
Yeah.
space. We did a pretty good deal with the landlord. We're looking for some other outside investment, but with the WeFunder, I mean, obviously we could use all the money we can get.
Sure.
But at the same time, really the thing with the WeFunder is, we have a good base now. We have a lot of people who know about us
hmm
and who come to the restaurant, and like it, et cetera, and trying to get them excited and also get new people excited about the new spot. And so that was the goal behind the WeFunder. It's not getting as much traction as I thought, I'll be honest with you, but we've only
hmm
really been pushing it maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's, like everything else, it's a really weird time. People don't feel like they have a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. And,
hmm
I thought it'd be a lot easier to get a chunk of people to put. I mean, the minimum investment's $100, right? You can throw in
Right.
$100. It's like, it's not like
Yeah.
you need to put 10 grand in. So I thought we'd have a lot more of those people, but not quite yet. And part of that's a
hmm
marketing issue, a messaging issue. We just started running paid ads and we have flyers in the restaurant and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully that picks up. The other weird part too is that the Next Seed thing back in the day, the funding had to be time bound. I think we could only raise
hmm
for 90 days. Now
Yep.
the funding stays open. So I feel like there's a lot of people who are waiting to let me see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
watch the progress and then I'll
Yeah.
decide, which is
Yep.
fine too, because if, hopefully we get people investing earlier, but even if they invest later, we're going to need, operating capital before we open, et cetera. Right. But we spend a lot of time trying to put together what we think are really cool perks and memberships and things like that. And so hopefully we can, get a bunch of people involved.
Yeah. What's keeping you up at night? What's the number one thing that you just got to make sure you get this right, as of right now?
Well, I mean, right now it's all timing because, like I said, we just entered into a sale agreement to sell this place.
Mhm.
The new owner, if escrow, if everything goes through in the next 30 days or whatever it is, the actual close will be early next year, February, March,
Okay.
because they need to apply for a new license. So it'll still be a 3 or 4
Mhm.
month process. But what's keeping me up is the funding, right? Because
Yeah.
we have a good chunk of TI with the landlord. Our new landlord is great, but you know, we signed the lease in February, and I expected that at the outside we'd be able to open within a year. And usually the holdup is the city or the permits or this or that. Well,
Right.
crazily, all that stuff's going great. It's a funding issue. It's trying to get the
Yeah.
loans together. And then, like I said, we were working on an SBA. Well, now the government shut down.
Right.
So that's just totally on hold. And I'm like, I don't know. It could be 2 months, 3 months, you know? And
Could be
so
forever. Who
yeah. And
knows?
so that's the other reason we're a little more, not panicked, but we're a little more kind of under a little more pressure to see if we can get the WE funder going because, yeah, I have an SBA loan coming. But again, we need to start construction now. And if the SBA loan doesn't come
Right.
for 3 months or 4 months, the government shutdown, I think, is probably the biggest headache for us.
Yeah.
So it's all financing, right? It's all trying to
Yeah.
juggle the financing for the new location. And honestly, on top of that, too, I've been having discussions. We didn't want to close here on a Tuesday and open there on a Wednesday, right? There needed to be some space to open the new space, but I also don't want to go 4 months from closing this location to opening the new one.
Sure.
Not only
Yeah.
for us, but for our employees.
Yeah.
And so, because most of them are excited to come to the new place and they're not going to be able to take 3 months off,
Right.
So that's probably, now that I think about it, the biggest thing keeping me up at night is trying to figure out how to time this. And I've been talking to them and, some of them are like, oh, it's fine. We could use a few weeks off. Other ones are
Right.
like, no, this is my thing. Right. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to see if I can help some of them get second jobs and things like that because,
Yeah.
some of these guys have been with me for years. And so we want to make sure we try and take care of them. At the same time, I'm kind of at the whim of the timing gods, right? If it were up to
Yep.
me, I'd have everything dialed into the day, but
Right. Yeah.
I don't have
Be
a
perfect.
choice. So
Right.
yeah, so those are the things that are keeping me stressed right now.
Those are a lot. Those are a lot. That's a second big one. That big one is at the end there on the employees. I used to work in the restaurant business a long time, man, and that's I would have been like, I got to go find another job to
No,
to
that's the
serve the
thing. We
table
got
for,
great staff, and
Yeah.
the good news is I know enough people. Like I'm trying to get our kitchen manager. He's one of my buddies around the corner is actually looking for kitchen help, and I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
I got this
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
for you.
Take this guy.
Don't steal him permanently because I need him
Right.
back. But
Right.
if you
Right.
keep him
I'll
apart,
need him.
so it's
Yeah.
and so how the industry works, man. It's going to be
Yeah.
kind of crazy, but I mean, the good news
Yeah.
is, like I said, we have people that love working for us.
That's good.
I
Yeah.
just hope the timing works where we can take them all over there.
Totally.
So.
So if you could go back to day one of starting the 619 Spirits, what would you do different? What advice would you give yourself? What would it look like?
I mean, I feel like in both instances, starting just the distillery part in 15 years ago, or the restaurant part, and because I'm going through it right now, is don't be undercapitalized.
Yeah.
I consistently underestimate what it's going to take to get going,
Mm.
but
Mhm.
I've also kind of learned that's the reason I'm an entrepreneur, right? Other people look at it and go, well, no, dude, you need $2 million before you can launch a liquor company. Don't do it. And I'm like, well, okay, but if you wait for that, you're never going to launch it. Right. So my advice would be to be a little bit more practical about the actual capital needs for the business.
Mm-hmm.
That said, and I'm doing a better job this time than I did the first two times with this new location, but not the greatest. Right. But like I said, yeah, I feel like if I followed my advice to the T, I would have done anything.
Right. Well, Nick, where should we send people? Obviously, I'll have the stuff in the show notes, but where should we send people if they want to learn more about the offering?
I mean, they can go to our
expansion,
website, which is 619spirits.com, or the WE Funder, which is wefunder.com/619spirits. And yeah, all the perks are there. The financials, all that good stuff is all there.
Awesome. Well, listeners, you guys know I'll have all the links in the show notes. So if you guys are interested in what you're hearing or you want to connect with Nick, I'm sure he'll take your call if you're interested in investing.
Yeah, you call, email, let me know. I'm sure
I'm
open book,
sure he'll
man,
take
so,
it. Yeah. Well,
exactly.
awesome. Well, Nick, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. I'll let you get back at it. And again, good luck with the campaign. And I'll be watching from Detroit here. Really cool stuff. And I look forward to trying to taste those spirits at some point.
All right. Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks for your time, dude. Thank you.
Bye now.